Hi, my name is Marcus and I'm here on behalf of Fracture Sounds to show you into their cabinet of curiosities. This is their latest blueprint instrument, the toy piano. For those of you who might not be aware, Blueprint is a series of free sample instruments compatible with the Kontakt 7 player that are curated from Fracture Sounds' experiments, passion projects, and whatever they happen to pick up in the Magic Bazaar that afternoon. And now that I'm done being cringy, it's time to walk you through this instrument and show you a piece of music that I've written which demonstrates how it can sound in context. Let's begin. A delightfully simple instrument today, but still presented stunningly. I absolutely love Fracture Sounds' GUIs. And we have a few controls to look at, starting with damping. This cuts down the sample so that the notes don't ring out so long, so if you're playing something that's really fast, it doesn't get too overwhelming. Here's how it sounds all the way down. And here's how it sounds all the way up. We have a control for the key clicks. Broken tuning, which I'm sure you can guess what this does. Here's how it sounds all the way down. And here's how it sounds all the way up. Reverb, which if you click on the cogs here, you can adjust the parameters of to your liking. I'm going to choose a hall just to show it off to you, and I'll turn off atmosphere so you can hear the difference between the signal completely dry and with the reverb. And finally, we have a control for Fracture Sounds' staple atmospheres with a solo button so we can hear how it sounds on its own. I think that just cast a spell on my apartment. And diving into the settings, if we click on these cogs on the left here, we have an option to control the tightness. So all the way down, we get the full uncut sample, which is a little bit more difficult to play, but still not too bad. And turning it all the way up, we cut into the sample for ease of playing. You can hear it also kind of makes the sound a little bit cleaner too. Velocity response means that we have less audible difference or more audible difference between the ultra quiet samples and the loud samples. So if I turn this all the way up, and if I turn this all the way down, and last but not least, our extended range button, which the current range of this keyboard is 2 octaves from C3 to C5. So a lot to play around with there, but if you want even more, we can hit this extended range button, which gives us an extra 7 semitones on either side, up to G sharp, that was a lie, up to G, and down to E. So. And there you have it. Let's don our top hats, our green polka dot bow ties, and have a nice cup of tea. I am really happy with how this turned out. After I did the Toy Bells walkthrough, I decided I would challenge myself to only use blueprint instruments in these library walkthroughs. And I've mostly succeeded. I will say in this particular instance there are a couple of exceptions to this. One is the Moonlight CET, and the other, which you probably picked up on already, is this 12-string here, which I recorded yesterday. Ignore the fact that it says take 9 and take 11. I nailed it in 3 takes, guys, I swear. Our other non-blueprint instrument today is the Moonlight CET, which I've only used one instance of, but I have used to great effect, I feel. First thing I did was muck around with the sound until I found something I liked, tweak the colour a little bit, and then with the mics I actually got rid of the far mic entirely because I just liked how this sounded. And then under settings, I turned on the extended range and the clarity filter. The clarity filter just removes the lower frequencies when you're playing higher notes, so you don't get as much sub bass. And then with the extended range, we now have all the way down to these bass notes. I say bass notes, that's not particularly bassy, but it does make a big difference. And you can see in the piano roll here that I have several layers basically. We've got our ostinato in the middle here, we've got our chords, and then at the top we have it doubling the toy piano, which I'll get to in a second. We've also got our electric keys bass. If you've watched any of my other walkthroughs, I think you'll be pretty aware of what I'm doing here at this point. I take the Blueprint electric keys, pitch shift it down 36 semitones, and then I turn down the key press, the key release, and then the tightness way up, because when you pitch shift a sample this far down, the gap, the tiny little gap before the note is hit at the beginning of the sample gets super long. So by turning up the sample start here, we make it a little bit tighter, and this is how that sounds. Gentle winds, which I absolutely love in this context. Who would have thought it? But that reedy saxophone thing aids in this sort of feeling of that fairground organ playing itself. At least that's what I have in my mind, and I absolutely love how it pairs with the toy piano. Next, I am absolutely delighted to tell you that I have used Fracture Sound's Festive Bells. My favourite library of all time, as you know. I've used the toy bells here as they are actually a fantastic percussive sound, and here's what they are doing towards the end of the piece. They start off just playing single notes, but then I use the key switch to switch over to a tremolo. But whilst I was playing more notes in earlier in the piece, I accidentally left the tremolo on. And I really liked how it sounded. It was sort of softer and more textural, and it's just a really nice little layer to have in there. Speaking of layers, I wasn't expecting this to be a demo of textural violin as well, but here we are. If you want a bit more detail on what I've done specifically, it's very similar to what I did in the last Blueprint walkthrough for textural violin, so I won't talk too much. I've just soloed these out and you'll hear that I've done a bit of pitch shifting and a bit of delaying, etc, etc. It works really well. It sounds so whimsical. I love it. And that leads us on finally to the instances of toy piano. Not a whole lot to speak of here. You see I've turned the damping way up and I think I tweaked the reverb a little bit. Yeah, I prefer the hall to the room, so I chucked that on there. We haven't got any Logic reverb in this project at all. It's all just the inbuilt reverb in Fracture Sounds. And weirdly enough, I haven't even used the extended range. I think I wanted to constrain myself. So that's that. And this plays our main melody. Our next instance of toy piano takes over for the final chorus, I guess you could call it, and this plays an ostinato, which I actually have put some of Logic's inbuilt delay designer onto, so it's designed to be a bit more melodic and harmonious. I've turned the damping all the way down just because we're only ever playing one note at a time and they're all quite high up, so that's not a concern. And then the key clicks are turned all the way down because of the delay. We want it completely in tune, and then I turn the reverb off, again because of the delay, but also because I wanted to put the atmosphere layers on. Going into the settings, I turn the tightness all the way up, and extended range on because we are playing outside of the normal boundaries of the toy piano. And then just to save me a step with the velocities, I turn the velocity response all the way down because I knew that I wanted this to be the same volume throughout. And then the other one thing to mention is that the delay designer in question pitch shifts the delay up an octave. So here's how that sounds. Our final instance of toy piano is our atmosphere track. I wholeheartedly believe in making good use of this solo button. I think it's a great addition to these libraries and allows you so much more flexibility for pairing the atmosphere with different instruments, having it do its own thing, etc., etc. And in this instance, I am using it to create this sound which is just so witchy. So there we have it, a nice little visit to the toy maker's shop, and if you would like to bring some of this enchantment into your own compositions, you can do so for free. All you have to do is sign up to the Fracture Sounds newsletter, but beware, I cannot say for certain what secrets you may uncover. Thank you very much for watching. Please consider subscribing to the Fracture Sounds YouTube channel so you don't miss any more spellbinding instruments in the future. And I will see you when I see you. Goodbye.